Sister Namibia has always understood the role that art and creatives play in the feminist movement, which is why as we evolved into this new iteration and trying to become more of a digital platform and sort of re-embrace our position as a media house and a media platform, it was really important to promote and platform feminist art, even as we sort of evolved and changed. And I think anyone who's been watching what we've been doing, especially over the last 6 to 12 months, will see that, you know, there's been kind of a huge change, not only aesthetically, but also in terms of the content that we're trying to put out, and we're trying to really match, you know, the feminist energy that we're seeing in the country right now. And so working with Start Art Gallery, working with Gina and Helen has given us a really amazing opportunity, not only to spotlight young Namibian artists, but also an opportunity to actively support artists during the pandemic. And I think we know that the art industry and creatives in general have been incredibly hard hit by our global lockdown and just by the pandemic in general, even as it affects you know, every single one of us. So it was really important that we were able to do something to actively support artists in the arts. And yeah, I think we were really, as we sort of developed this project, we were really adamant that art is a really powerful tool to reflect our experiences and our realities. And so what we wanted to do was to just approach the artists and say, make something that expresses feminism to you however you want, and try to give really free rein. And we're just so delighted and excited by the variety that has come out as we go through, as we walk through the exhibition. You'll see we've got prints and photography, media, there's music, there's video. And so it was really exciting, even as sort of the world fell apart around us, to be able to see that people are still making things that are really brilliant and really make statements and spark conversation and bring a lot of joy to people. I think that's really important for us as well, to highlight the joy not only of creation, but the joy of also, you know, being a feminist is not always sad and depressing. So yeah, we'll talk about it more during the walkthrough, and obviously in the Q&A session with the artists afterwards. But I really want to say such a genuine thank you on behalf of everyone at Sister Namibia for Start Art Gallery, and to all the artists who came on this sort of very experimental adventure with us, and we're just, yeah, we love what we've managed to produce. And just as a note, in the walkthrough, or in the link to the exhibition, there is for Sister Namibia, which are accessible on our website, that's artist activation process, and where this exhibition. So I really encourage everyone to have a look at those afterwards, and maybe we can drop the links in the chat as well.
Working with so many different people really is a pleasure, and I hope that is something that we can share with you today. But since the website will remain up for a very long time to come, something that people will be able to enjoy afterwards as well. I always say at this point that you're very welcome to put me on mute and explore the exhibition on your own time without my voice in the background. But do please remember to come back again and tune in when it comes time for the artists to speak about their work, because that always is really exciting. All right, let me start the screen share. Cool. So the exhibition starts with a little bit of text. a short introduction from Gina and I. As Dapwa mentioned, we have written 2 articles about a few of the artworks in this show, and they're both linked at the bottom of this text here and here. There are so many amazing articles. Sister over the last year has produced a really wonderful body of content on their website. So I hope that if you're coming to Sister for the first time through this project, I hope that you use it as an opportunity to read everything else that is on that website. If there's a specific artist you want to explore, you can jump to them quickly through links here, but we'll just go straight to Hildegard. So Hildegard Titus is a curator, she's a photojournalist, she's an artist, she is a photographer, she is so many things. Kind of physicality as well in some of the texts that we've written. I'm thinking about the violence that so many bodies endure as a part of the patriarchal society that we all live in. And that is something that Petrina has definitely thought about, and hopefully we'll hear more about that from her later on. We aren't actually going to, in the past when we've done online exhibitions like this, we've tried to watch videos together, but we're not going to do that this time because unfortunately through the screen share, the video, the sound tends to distort and there tends to be a bit of a lag. So once I've finished going through all of the artworks, we're going to come back again and give you guys time to, in your own time, watch a few of the videos all the way through. The next artist is Ndinomholo Ndilula. There are 2 video works here. We all joined together last year, I guess a bit earlier than now, towards the beginning of all the lockdowns. And so I quite like the kind of symmetry here. We get to see this work on Zoom again. And yeah, so what Dino did was he did kind of 2 performances in one. One of them involved a community reading of the Combating Rape Act, and the other one was a performance. And again, there's a physicality to this performance. You see the artist working through some ideas quite physically, and I'm looking forward to hearing him talk about that again. Unfortunately, Bewise won't be able to join us today, and perhaps we can take a little bit of time to look at her prints right now. Bewise is also a recent graduate of the College of the Arts. Her work is, she works in lino cut prints, so it's a form of relief printmaking. And these images all talk to kind of her understanding of feminism in Namibia right now. So we see this kind of desire to break free, but we also see an incredible depiction of pride in the way one looks, pride in one's sexuality, pride in one's body. So I think that these are the things that come out really beautifully and strongly in the work of Bewise. We're really lucky because these works are actually on display at Cafe Prestige in Windhoek at the moment. So there's a link in the bottom right hand corner. And if you're able to visit these works at Cafe Prestige, that would be great. They're part of another exhibition called Love is Love that was curated and put on by Afano and Hildegard Titus. So yeah, please do see them in person. There are also more prints by Bewise on that show that are very worth watching, very worth seeing, and work by a number of other artists that is really exciting. Vitjitua's work is also luckily available to be seen in person at the Brewers Market in town. These works are called the Femme Reflections series. I'll open them up again. But she was very much inspired by the early copies of Sister Namibia's magazines from a few decades ago. And we'll hear more from her about them. But she was responding very. Okay, Mel. A really personal experience for her, and I think that the way in which she has shared it is quite beautiful. And in the pause that we take later, I hope that everybody takes the opportunity to watch this video. Isaak's work is also on show in Windhoek right now at the College of the Arts. There's a pin for anybody who doesn't know where it is, but it's in the foyer of the main campus. Michelle did 3 artworks, and each of them is inspired in some way by her relationships with other people. In this case, her relationships with her sisters, the strength that one draws from other people, the idea of flight and freedom, and how one can be broken by an experience. Michelle's work is in some ways quite abstract, but in other ways I think quite relatable when you read about it. One of the things that she does is she uses discarded materials, so a lot of what you're seeing here is actually formed out of newspapers and old cardboard boxes. So there's this attempt to reclaim materials that have been relegated to the waste, and bringing them back to life again through the work that she makes. Okay, Namafu has made a series of photographs for this work. She actually collaborated with Hildegard, using some of Hildegard's drawings in this photo series. So it's made up of six works. I think what was being spoken about mostly here were sort of the small acts of feminism that, I mean, it's impossible to call them small, but the acts of feminism that happen on a daily basis, similar to Hildegard's billboard. It's a celebration of what people do on a daily basis to support, promote, care for women. And then finally, we come to the work of BIGG CLIT. BIGG CLIT prefers to go by they, and I'm really hoping that they've managed to tune in. I know they were having problems with their connection, and we'll be able to hear from them directly. We've actually ended up with a couple of series of works by them. So these pieces are called felt pussies, and they are quite soft, delicate works made out of felt and then photographed. There's a delicacy to the ink and a definite intimacy that sort of flies in the face of depictions of women and depictions of genitalia that are often medical or violent. Really enjoyed these. BIGG CLIT also did a series of self-portraits, each one with a different set of objects, each one kind of considering different aspects of the self. I've probably gone through all of those too quickly, but there will be time to look at them again. And then another video piece, and in this performance, Big CLIT, well, you'll have to see it yourself, but they perform beautifully in the desert. All right, so I think that we've come to the point in the evening where everybody takes their own time to work through the videos. I can put a link into the chat to the YouTube channel. If that hasn't already been done. Yeah. And perhaps we can sort of reconvene, and I'm not sure how long everybody needs, but perhaps we can reconvene in 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think go with 10 a little bit more, you know, and try and, because, you know, definitely try and get through those videos that have links into the website, and then on the YouTube playlist there's a few more if you want to go through some more. So yeah, please go ahead, and as you're watching things as well, feel free to pop stuff into the chat as you think of them. I see Peter's put some queries in already, so we'll use those to go through them when we come back to chat and discuss together. So yeah, feel free if you have any questions, pop them in, but please enjoy the video work now. All right, hi everybody. I hope you've had a chance to go over some of the videos. If you're just finishing up, no worries. We're just slowly gonna come back to this lovely virtual room we're in, and we have the opportunity to chat to some of the artists about their work. So if you do have any questions, remember you're welcome to keep popping them into the chat. But I'm just going to hand straight back to Dapwa to facilitate a little bit of a Q&A session.
Thanks, Gina. Yeah, definitely a lot of amazing content to go through. So feel free to keep scrolling if you need to while we're going through a quick Q&A. Like Gina said, we've obviously would love for anyone who has any questions to pop them in the chat, and we'll ask the artists and have a little bit of a conversation about some of their works. But in the meantime, I've just prepared a little bit for every artist, so we can just sort of get things started.
Oh. But oh, yeah, but
and I think that, yeah, I'll start with Hildegard. I'll just go in the order of the online exhibition. So we'll start with Hildegard. So Hildegard, if you could unmute and maybe put your video on if you're comfortable with that. And just let me know that you're here and can hear me.
Hi, Dapwa.
Hi, Hildegard. Yeah, thank you so much for sort of being in a lot of ways, our kind of flagship piece. I think the one that's been most widely seen. And we've gotten so much positive feedback about people, you know, just saying, you know, I never thought I would see the word feminism on a huge billboard in Namibia with, you know, a diverse representation of Namibian women who are currently doing things, who have been historically doing things. And so, yeah, your work is arguably the most public of the all the artist activations that we've had. So why do you think it's important that work like this be accessible to the general public, and what role does public art play in movements for social change?
Thank you for the question. I don't know if you can see me because my camera is being funny. Can you guys see me?
No, I don't think so, but I think you can just carry on even if you're unable to.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, no, I think having public art, especially public art that celebrates like feminism, is such an important thing, specifically in Namibia, where we still have such big issues around like, you know, people feeling uncomfortable with the word feminism, also people feeling uncomfortable with like tackling issues like gender-based violence, transphobia, discrimination against sex workers, abortion, like all these things that affect, you know, a lot of the marginalized people in Namibia. And I thought, like, when creating the artwork and when I was given the chance by Sister Namibia and Start, I thought it'd be really a great place to put something up where people wouldn't necessarily have expected that. And then what I also tried to do was trying to include as many different, like, you know, feminists that I knew who were doing great work, and also trying to like make it across the board, like not just cis women, but also trans women, not just young women, but also historically, our historical feminists as well, just to kind of show that like the feminism that we see today is like it's a team effort, and it's multi-dimensional, it's intersectional. And I think one of the best ways to tackle these issues that we have in society is to, you know, claim space. And I think that's the location of the billboard is such a great space. And I remember going when it was unraveled with Gina and just like being mind blown by how big it is and like how in your face it is. And every time I pass it, I'm just like, wow, did I really get to make something that gigantic and be so loud about it? And I think, yeah, like I think especially with all the things that we're dealing with at the moment, like being loud and about the work that we're doing and celebrating the people that are continuously improving lives for all of us is such an important thing to do.
Yeah, definitely the idea of claiming public space. I think so many of the things that we try to fight against are things that happen in public and things that are sort of normalized in public. So being able to go into that public space and, you know, try to create a little bit of discomfort for people, some necessary discomfort, was in such a huge, literally in your face way. I mean, that billboard is, every time I see it like up close, I'm like, it's really massive. So
it's huge.
It's very cool. Yeah. Thank you so much, Hildegard. I know that there's definitely probably going to be some more questions for you in the chat a little bit later. But thank you so much for giving us some insight into how we got there with this beautiful giant billboard.
Thank you.
Next, if I can quickly chat with Petrina. Petrina, if you're able to unmute and maybe turn on your video if possible.
Hi, Ndapa.
Hi, Petrina. For those who've maybe not been able to watch the full video of Petrina making her piece, it also was one of the artworks that was publicly exhibited. It was mounted on the wall of Sister Namibia's offices in Eros in Windhoek, and so it was another one of the #1 earlier pieces, and also one that was I think quite accessible to people, and people were really able to see it and engage with it in a really public way. And I know from the comments we've already seen in the chat, Petrina, I know that your video has definitely resonated with people, and your process has really resonated with people. And, you know, one of the themes that I think has come out of some of the artwork, and I know one of the themes of your artwork was, you know, that experiencing violence is something that impacts your whole body, affects your whole body, regardless of what form that violence takes. So how was using your body to create this piece? How did using your body to create this piece respond to that? You know, how did you come to decide to take that approach?
So I have this belief that whenever you experience violence, your body is the most closest thing to what you're going through, or what you have been experiencing. And regardless of what it is, whether it's a mental health issue, your body still gets to react out. It's your mind is on your body. So I feel my body allows me to better express how it is. I either feel because of what has happened to me or what has happened onto another person, and my hands, my feet, that they are better able to express if I'm angry, if I feel like crying. They are better able to express if I feel like screaming. Hence, if I pull my hand in the paint and that's what I feel like doing at that particular moment, I feel my body allows me to express like that. And in the process, it's also a healing process for my body, for somebody else who
Not sure if you can all still hear me.
when failure is being projected on us, just that how it affects our body, how it affects our mind. And I realized that everything literally comes back to our body, how our bodies are treated by other people and by ourselves again. And using my body as a paintbrush has been that it's a saving grace, I would say, because it usually, by the time I'm done with that canvas, I've left everything that I felt inside of me on that canvas. And it's a relief because, like, even specifically for this work, for mending the broken telephone, I had to read a lot of story. I had to watch a lot of people's stories and listen to them speak about what they have gone through. And it was specifically directed at rape and the society, how society forces rape victims to get over how they felt, or to forgive the perpetrators, to not report the perpetrators and all that. So it's always a saving grace for me when I get to paint, because then every emotion I've picked up from them that I've collected for that specific work is get to be left on that work. And just corroborating with the musics that I have to pick up specific music for that work also helped me a lot. So it has been a saving grace, honestly. And most of my works are not just the canvas work, but I would say also it's a therapeutic process, because I've realized that even when I watch myself, like even now when I rewatch the video, emotions still flocked back, and it still gave me that sort of emotion. So it's using my body has been a saving grace for me, and I've been told also for other people, and I'm grateful. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Petrina. I mean, yeah, I think definitely speaking to mental health and the importance of having space and the ability to process your emotions is something that's so important. And you know, in terms of the feminist movement, is something that is really crucial in terms of finding healing, especially when we're talking about the experience of violence. And thank you so much for sharing something so personal and really investing your personal energy into this work and sharing it with us. That's really beautiful, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you, Petrina. Next, I'll move on to Ndinomholo. Ndino, I don't know if you can unmute and if you can hear me.
Okay.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Well, thank you. Very excited. Thank you so much. First of all, to Sister and Start Art and to the other artists. It's so wonderful to walk through the exhibition. And thank you to everybody for showing up this Thursday evening.
Yeah, thank you. And you know, I was able to be a small part of your piece, the community reading. And I think something that came out of that was we all sort of reflected on how it was actually such a powerful experience to read legislation that is, you know, something that is so crucial to the feminist movement, but is often, you know, overlooked, and people don't necessarily have the opportunity to really go through it and explore it with others. So that was a really cool and a really novel experience for me personally. But as Helen said, you know, your piece and your performance happened during a lockdown period where you know, things we usually would have done in front of people and together with people ended up being a little bit more removed, and we had to kind of evolve. And I think it's a pretty universal experience that COVID has forced us to find new ways of being active in and supportive of our communities. So how did you feel that your performance fit into this new normal of expression that we're trying to build? How did you feel like you slotted in there?
Well, so two things kept coming to mind: purpose and relevance, and really just trying to understand what is the purpose of my artwork in this period, or of my being an artist, of me making a work in this period. What does it mean to be essential? And so what part of the communication or the subject matter being communicated is essential, because some of it has to be, if not all of it is, as I hope it is. And then of course the purpose also, the you know, as you described, and thank you, you were part of the the real life bodies that were there. So it was such an incredible experience to still be with people and to be with digital people as well. And also, you know, what does it mean to change, to adapt, to try to experiment with new modes, with new ways of engaging. So I would say I contextualized most of that by when I think about being in the Sister Namibia archive, and also just being able to ground this idea of evolution and of change and of sort of accepting that change is the mode, by being able to go through all these different issues and to see, you know, to see positive change in very small ways and reflected in this article or in that article or in this image or this that we didn't have in the issue, you know, 2 years ago, but now we have as a constant. And so I also as somebody who grew up with Sister Namibia, and also as a member of the homosexual community, you know, Sister was a magazine. It's where, you know, all of, like, it's the first local space that said that, you know, we were all here, we all existed. So to think that Sister itself is evolving, Sister, the organization, is evolving in the same way as the rest of the community is, the whole Namibian community. We are all, I mean, I say Namibian, globally, we are all looking to see how we're going to do this. I don't know if you can hear the planes. Just don't mind the planes. But yeah. Yes. Bridget, Miss Lutz here was also a digital person. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I think it, you know, as you're talking, it kind of made me think that this performance and, you know, this whole exhibition really was a sort of continuation of Sister Namibia's evolution, and, you know, a sort of evolution. We're part of this constant constant reminder that we need to adapt and we need to change as the world around us kind of changes, and we need to find new and creative ways to still be in community. And like you were saying, like finding digital people, still managing to find that connection to them, still managing to find relevance, and personal engagement, even as we are digital people right now. I think your work has really been such a novel, I think, approach to finding community kind of in this digital age. So thank you so much.
Thank you all. So exciting to see. And please, for anybody who hasn't gotten a chance, please do try to go to Prestige Cafe and see the exhibition that's still on. It's incredible. It's wonderful.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Ndino. We'll come back. I think there will be more questions for you a little bit later, but we'll come back. Thank you so much for giving us some insight. Next, we will come to as Gina and Helen have both noted, Bewise wasn't able to join us today, but some points I maybe wanted to just highlight, or some questions for us as we have a look at her work, is thinking about the ways that her work challenges and works to challenge some very deeply held ideas about beauty and femininity and the way we respond to violence. And some of those ideas are very almost subconscious. There's a lot of internalized ideas that we have about beauty and femininity. And so just thinking about maybe the role that art plays in challenging the way that people think and act, and challenging those subconscious ideas, I think is something that would be good to have in mind as you look through her work. Next, we would like to talk to Vitjitua. Vishi, are you able to unmute for us?
Hi.
Yeah, for those who would like to see one of the artworks, Vishi's work is currently up at the Brewers Market, so it's available for people to have a look with, interact with. But as we've seen in the walkthrough and in the online exhibition, Vishi's work connected the Sister Namibia Archives, was inspired by the Sister Namibia Archives, and she's created these beautiful engravings on mirrors, and I think that's such a cool idea, because mirrors are often linked to ideas of femininity, of beauty, even of vanity. And your work kind of flipped the script and used these mirrors to symbolize protest, both protests from the past and continuing conversations that we're still having in the present. So, and what's very cool about the mirrors is that as you look at them, they reflect the protest back to you, and they reflect yourself. So there's this beautiful overlapping of one's personal experience with the message in the work. So Vichy, long story short, what do you think viewers feel, or what do you want viewers to feel when they look at your art? As the act of looking at it kind of makes them part of the piece itself and part of the protest itself, or what kind of feelings are you trying to evoke there? Is that something you thought about?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. Kind of going into Sister Namibia's archives and seeing where the magazine has started and what kinds of issues Sister was dealing with back then. And the first issue was in 1989, if I remember correctly. And so it kind of just allowed me to see this long history of like the feminist struggle in Namibia. and it's sort of, everything is just sort of reverberating, you know. And so for me, for this work, I really wanted to kind of put the viewer in the work, because it's really all about self-reflection, right? If we're talking about feminist issues and looking at the struggles back in 1989 and fast forward to 2021, we're still dealing with the same issues. And at the end of the day, it's like, why hasn't there been much progress? And not to say that there hasn't been any progress, of course, but like, it's been this sort of slow moving kind of thing. And so I just kind of wanted to challenge people to kind of look at themselves in the mirror, and do that work of self-reflection, because really it all comes from within. We all have sort of, we have to do this unlearning, and we all have these biases that we impose or project onto others, and not just women, but queer bodies as well. And so that all comes from within, and there's a lot of internal work that I think a lot of us in society need to do. So that was really kind of the main thing for me. And yeah, I mean, everybody looks in the mirror every day, not just women, and not just for beauty purposes or anything like this, but mirrors are kind of this thing of like this everyday thing that we look at. And so for putting on these messages in the mirror, yeah, it was just a direct way of putting the viewer and also implicating the viewer in these issues.
Yeah, and I think definitely speaks to such an important theme that has come out in this work, which is thinking about individual reflection, individual processing. I think that a lot of the time people think about feminism as, you know, it's this very sort of external process of trying to change society externally and trying to, you know, change the people around you and the society around you. But there is so much work and internal work and reflection that goes into the process of, you know, trying to build a better world, because there are so many things, like you were saying, that need to be unlearned. So thank you so much for sharing a little bit about the background of those pieces. Like I said, they are still up at the Brewers Market, and I would really encourage anybody who's able to, who's in Windhoek and can safely get there, to go and to have a look, because interacting with them face to face is such a fascinating process. You know, having these messages about bodily autonomy and that kind of message, like directly sort of superimposed over your face, kind of does make you think about the role that you play, and yeah, it's really great. I would love everyone to go see it. Thanks so much, Vichy. We'll come back to you a little bit later in the Q&A, but thank you so much. Next, I would love to chat to Mel Mwevi. Mel, are you there and able to unmute?
Hi, hi.
Hi, hi.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm very excited to be able to chat about your work. I think that I would definitely encourage, obviously, everyone to look at everything, but your work is a combination of visual film and song and music, which I think is so powerful, and the song itself is so beautiful and haunting. And you know, your work, I think, speaks so much to our lifelong search for safety and for warmth, and the importance of finding community in that search. And I know that this work was a collaborative effort for you. There were a lot of people that were involved. But you know, the piece was starring Diolini, and I just was curious about what it was like to go on that journey with Diolini and embrace trust while sharing something that's so vulnerable and something motivated by something so personal. What was it like to find trust in that relationship and that collaboration when there's so many things about the world right now that just don't feel safe? What was that process like?
Yeah, I'm so grateful that I could work with Diolini. I've always been amazed by her work. but also just her as a person working and moving in this world. It's interesting, when we started speaking, our conversations were mainly about how we were, what she just got up to, you know, and less about the project and getting the work done. And I think with the whole team, because we'd also gone to Swakop and Hildegard came along and assisted, and Clara as well. And everything was about how are you feeling today? There was a lot of checking in. I think we both knew about what was happening in each other's lives on a personal level, which helped us feel safe. And we were always it felt like breathing, because we were just checking in all the time. No one had to show up with like 100% of anything. There was no sense of like extreme expectations from either side for me to be incredibly organized in this way and have a script and blah, 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 or for her to be neither of us felt that we needed to really show up with anything but ourselves, which I think is the whole point of the project as well. Is in our present state right now.
Yeah.
As women in this world, as people in this world, we are always needing a little bit of softness and safety. And I think with the pandemic, that's it brought this project out even more. The work was written before the pandemic, but I think so everyone that was in the project, us going to Swakop, I think a few of us were menstruating at the same time. There was so much that connected us, and we were just talking and flowing, and it was less about a schedule and getting work done and more about being together and feeding each other. We'd agree that each person was going to cook a different meal on a different day, and so I hope that answered your question. I think it wasn't hard to feel safe around this group of women, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so beautiful. I think that often, people think about the sort of like hard and impactful moments and like the fight and this constant fight that we are all engaged in on a daily basis, because that's just the world around us. But finding that those spaces of softness and those spaces that say just come as you are, I think is so important to really publicize and to let people know that that's not only okay, but that's what we should kind of strive for, instead of this kind of idea of perfection or the right way to do things and to create things. Thank you so much. And yeah, it's amazing how, even though the song, you had performed it before, and it was written earlier, like takes on different meaning during this hot mess that we find ourselves in. Yeah, I think it's such a sentiment that everyone can really relate to, this idea of wanting to just find that unconditional warmth and unconditional safety and being held. So thank you so much, and yeah, we'll come back to you in the Q&A later. Thanks, Mel. So we're moving on to Michelle. Michelle, are you able to unmute? Are you there?
Hi there.
Hi. Excellent. Thank you so much. And yes, Michelle. So there's something, obviously everyone can have a look at the exhibition online and have a look at Michelle's work as we chat. As Helen says, she uses a lot of, or she reuses and recycles and reshapes a lot of material that people would throw away. And I know that you've said, one person's trash is another person's treasure. And there's something really beautiful about your use of these fragile materials like newspaper and cardboard that many people would consider throwing away, and the way you've turned them into something strong and something really structured. And is that connected to, you know, some of the thinking behind your artwork and your artist statement that talks about taking life experiences and using those points of fragility to create strength? Is there a connection between the materials you use and the ideas between your work?
Well, firstly, the main two materials that I use is the newspapers and the cardboard box. And the reason why I use the newspapers, mainly it's a so it represents mostly the public, the society. So this is like a connection between me and the public with us. So it's something that how it informs us of what's going on around us daily. And the last 2-3 years, it's really been a female challenge within this world, with abuse within toddlers, teenagers, missing young people. And this is how we get informed of what it is going on. And this is how I also use like coiling them. And that represents somehow like each and every person being connected and then creating like a whole structure of it. It's like small, everybody, it represents everybody, creating like a whole community or whole society. And it relates the cycle of it. It's also like how it revolves. It's a cycle that's continuing like within everybody and the whole society, the community, the country, whether it's inside, internationally, it's still just continuing the same way. And the cardboard is more of a concealment. If we think about how we use box, it's more of transporting, it's concealed, it's covered. You use it to transport things from here to there, and it's usually closed. So I would really see it as concealment, like mostly. And this also would reflect on how we see ourselves, because most of the time we go through situations personally that people can't really see, because it's concealed. What we are going through on the inside, it's not really known unless you have a way of expressing it, a way of putting it out there. And that's how I usually cut it open. I cut it in slices. It's a way of also just breaking it through, like unleashing what's inside, and then putting it back into structure. That's like you're releasing and then having a way of working through it. So that's how I usually use my material into, like, either to represent me personally or the community or the ones that I'm close to around me. It could be friends and family, because I have also, like, we are 7 kids and mostly we are 5 ladies. So we as women mostly, we kind of have this where I can relate, like, to my older sister or to the younger one, like how we deal with situations and how we have been working the cycle of it, like growing, and how we have a way of working through our difficulties and also creating it into our strength. And that's like how we use our weak points actually, and how we create it into being strength. Because my mother was like, is a single mother. She was a single mother for a long time, and how she used like her weak like qualities or weak points, and she created the strong woman that we can now like look after ourselves. We can think differently. The way we think is actually to like empower other women, and how we can use our life experience into creating someone or to helping someone else with what they are going through. And what we went through, we can actually help someone else with what they are going through at the moment. So this is how we use our weak points, our weakness.
That's what Tim.
Hello, I'm back.
Oh, it's always.
Have brought us to a natural end, actually, for the evening, with with Dapwa, BIGG, and Namafu not being able to join us.
Oh, I'm back.
Namafu has given me a short statement that I'm going to put in the chat for her, and just share with everybody. Okay, there you go.
Apologies all, I've managed to come back, and I see, thank you so much, Helen, for sharing some feedback from Namafu here. Yeah, we can all maybe just take a moment to read through. Yeah, and as Helen said, BIGG is unable to join us. I think everyone is having some problems with internet and technology today. So I think we can maybe bring things to a bit of a close with the Q&A. Obviously, it would be amazing if you keep dropping any comments or any thoughts and feedback you might have in the box here as we start to wrap things up. But from my side, I just wanted to just quickly reflect on, I think, some of the feedback we've gotten from the artists. I think if we learned anything from this process, and as Sister Namibia working through this process, we really asked people to work through some very deeply personal, very personal feelings and thoughts, and we all know that the personal is the political. So what happens in the world and the way society is structured definitely has an impact on all of us as individuals. So thank you so much to all of the artists for trusting us to share your artwork, for being so open even now in talking about some of the background and some of the inspiration behind their work. And thank you again so much to Helen and Gina from Start Art for being able to facilitate this process and put us in contact with so many amazing artists who are creating work that resonates, across the history of what's happening in Namibia, whether it's explicitly feminist or not, whether it's more quote unquote traditional mediums of art or not. I think that this year-long project has really been an experiment in finding ways to express the things that Sister Namibia is so passionate about, and the things that so many activists in this country have been so passionate about, and just being a platform for that. So thank you so much to all the artists, and thank you to Start, who have done truly a unspeakable amount of work to make this all happen. And truly, we really appreciate it on behalf of Sister Namibia. It's been such an amazing project and process, and one that we hope to repeat and do on a bigger scale.
Great, thank you so much, Dafa. I mean, yeah. Again, it's going to be a little bit of like a show of everything. Thanks. But thank you so much to Sister for this project. I mean, it particularly came at a time where artists needed work. We needed work, you know, with exhibitions not possible and things slowing down. You're a bit of a lifeline to a lot of people. So thank you so much. And I just wanted to say as well that so this online exhibition, please share it far and wide beyond people who were able to make it tonight. It'll be up on our website for a long time, and Sister Namibia's website as well. I just wanted to pop that in the chat shortly and invite you to go have a look at that. You can read the articles that we've written for Sister Namibia as well, which is on the similar issues that our wonderful artists have covered tonight. And then wonderfully, all of these artworks now form part of the Sister Namibia art collection, but there are some that have that are available for sale in different formats, you know, second and third editions of the print, for example. So if you are interested in buying anything, please do let us know. And I think that's everything from our side. Helen, maybe you want to add in anything?
Hi, everyone. That's it. If anybody has any questions that they'd like or comments, then I see people are putting them in the chat, and that's great. We can hang around for a bit longer if you like, but I think that we're coming to a natural end now to the evening. So please stay in touch. And thank you so much for staying with us for so long this evening.
Yeah, sorry, before we wrap up, Helen and Gina, I just wanted to say one very, very quick thing, which is that all of the artworks have been, actually two very quick things. All of the artists have been featured on Sister Namibia's Instagram page, and there's some more detailed information and artist statements there and a little bit more background from the artists. So if anyone would like to know a little bit more about the work, that would be a really good place to have a look. And you know, we also try to link to their other projects and other work. And then last but not least is a very big thank you to the German embassy for their support and making this project possible. It was really I can't state enough how much it was very experimental, because we had no idea how it was going to go, and we really appreciate that they were able to put some backing behind this and completely support our desire to just us artists to just create to their heart's desire and create something really honest and true. So thank you so much to our partners at the German embassy for helping make this possible.